Are you a Twitch streamer? Do you play Phasmophobia? Because if so, I have an overlay for you. Using StreamElements, I've made a dashboard widget that allows you to keep track of all the evidence that you have, the ghost name, optional objectives, and even will help you to figure out what ghost type it is, so that you can get that evidence into the journal and get back to the van safely. Now, if you want it, stick around and I'll show you how to use it and how to install it. Hi, I'm Glitch Mythos and I am the creator of the Phasmophobia overlay widget. I also am a variety streamer on Twitch. I happen to play a lot of different games such as Phasmophobia, Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Pokemon. If you want to come check me out, link is down below. Alright, let's jump into it. First, if you have any questions about anything, or if you forget any of the commands, please make sure to go check out the README that is located in my GitHub. It has example commands for every command that the widget can use, and also explains very common questions such as, how to toggle the evidence to be both on, negative, or off, and things such as the optional objectives, all the possible phrases that can be used, sightings, cursed possessions, and example usages for each and every single one of those. So if you have any questions, please go to the GitHub first and check out the README. The link is in the description below. All right, jumping into it, let's take a look at the widget itself. There's a lot of different things here in this widget. First and foremost, let's check out all of the commands. Every single command that exists in the widget is customizable. You can change the command to be whatever it is that you want it to be. By default, for example, setting the name of the ghost is simply GN. And then if you put in the name Thomas Thomas, it shows up name Thomas Thomas. But if you want to change that to be something such as GName, you could do !GName Thomas Anderson, and boom, there you go. Now that works with every single command that's in here, and this lists out every command that is also in the README. We also have the main widget options. This allows you to change your background color to be anything that you would like it to be. A very important note here is this last number here, or this bar here, is the transparency of that background. You can make it be completely opaque, and you can make it be as transparent as you would like it to be. This is very important because sometimes you want to put this on top of other things, or maybe put a different background. Maybe you want an image there instead of having it be a solid color. This is the easiest way to do that. I like having mine be a little bit in the gray area because white on gray with Phasmophobia looks pretty good and it's easy to read. Additionally, you can change the font to be any Google font that you want it to be. I would go to Google and search for Google fonts to be able to see a full list of every Google font that is available. There's a lot of them. Additionally, this is where you can set it so that VIPs can use commands. Right now, currently, broadcasters and streamers are able to put in any of the commands that are listed above and their mods. So this way, if you're a little bit too busy because you're running away from the ghost, but you did happen to get freezing temps, one of your mods can put it in. This also makes it so that you can let VIPs have the same level of access as you and your mods. One important thing to know though, is that in the README, it does detail that mods can turn VIP permission on and off. Point them to that README document to give the full documentation on how to do all of this. Every single piece of the widget is broken down into different sections, and each of those sections can be displayed or not displayed, making it so that this is very customizable. If you don't want to show the ghost name at any point, just select it to be no for display name. When there is no ghost name set, we do have default messages that can be put in, or to have it be that when you put in a ghost name, it will have a prefix or something after it. If you want, you could have it be something where it's like is a dummy, and every single time you do set that ghost name, it'll say is a dummy afterwards if you really want to do that, but that's up to you. Also, you can change the color and you can change the font size. You can make this be any size that you want, really small, or you can have it be really big. Auto capitalized name just simply means that if you put in the name lowercase, it will automatically capitalize the first letter. Some people want this, some people don't. Now, something new that we recently added is the ability for each section to have a margin on the top and bottom. What does that mean? That just means adding in some extra space. So if you want a little bit more space underneath the name, if we change this to 20, we now have a little bit of extra space underneath that name. A lot of people wanted this on the top because now if we change the widget to be like so, give it a little bit more room on the bottom, they have the ability to put their logo here or put a picture of a ghost here. Again, it's kind of customizable to be whatever you'd like it to be. Next, we got the map. You can choose to not display it or display it. Again, default message, you can change the color, change the font size. There is a couple other things that are of interesting note here. First and foremost, let's say we have Maple Lodge as the map. We can also add the difficulty. So we can put the difficulty to be P for professional. If you want it to be nightmare difficulty, nice and simple as well. Boom, we got the nightmare difficulty right there. And this is where you control how the bar itself looks by choosing to have everything be right aligned. You can have it be left aligned, and you can even have it be space around. You can have it be center aligned. It is up to you. Again, it's very customizable. There's also the top and bottom margins, just like before. We can give it just a little bit of room just to make it have a little bit of extra space in between. So next are sightings. These are the things that when you see them, you can maybe take pictures of them to get a little bit of extra money, or they're just something cool to see on the map. Now, these are located in the top right over here. You can choose to have them be hidden at all times, or you can choose to have them be hidden only when they're not active. For example, if we now do !sight and we say bone, boom, the bone does show up. If we would do !sight and do water, now we got the dirty water showing up again as well. So I'm going to turn these back on. When they are inactive, they're whatever color that you set them to be. Some people like to do like a light blue, for example, just to kind of have them be there. But when they are active, then they turn into the active color. You know, as we'll see here, now it is this lime green. You can also change the icon height. I've seen some people change this to be a little bit smaller. Sometimes they want it a little bit bigger. Now the cool new cursed possessions. We don't know which one's going to be on the map at the start of the game, so we just put a question mark here. Now, again, you can choose not to show it if you want, and it has the inactive and active color settings as well. Very simple and easy to use. Let's say we have the tarot deck. Boom, !pause, tarot, and it shows up as a deck of cards. We can also do the Ouija board if we want as well. We can also do the box for the music box. So every single one of the cursed items does have a shortcut and a few different commands that you can use to set it. And if you want to turn it off, all you have to do is run the same command and it goes back to the question mark. You have any questions? Check out the README. Evidence is the core of Phasmophobia. It's what you're trying to get every time you go to the map to be able to figure out what the ghost is. So we've spent a lot of time on this. You can choose not to show it if you want, but that seems kind of counterintuitive to everything that this widget is about, but you never know. Additionally, we made it so that we will mark impossible evidence so that you can see whether or not that evidence would be impossible to get based on the ghosts that are remaining. I'll show you how in just a little bit. And we also have it where it'll use a different color for that as well. You can see there are 5 different colors, one for active evidence, then inactive evidence, which they are currently set to now, impossible evidence, completed impossible evidence, and negative evidence. Here, let's take a look. Let's say you found EMF 5. Boom, GE gives EMF 5 on the dashboard. Let's say you also found fingerprints. And here we now see that the conclusion text at the bottom goes, could be a Goryo, Jinn, Myling, or Obake. This gives us a lot of information. It also shows us that this here, the spirit box, is impossible evidence to get. We do not have a ghost that we could get on this map that would give us spirit box. Now, as to whether or not it's gonna be one of these 4, well, let's say we happen to find out that it's ghost writing. Bam, we now know it's a Myling. And as you can see here, these 4 turn to this light blue color based on the complete impossible evidence. What that means is we've completed it, we figured out what ghost it is, and now it gets rid of that evidence off of the screen, makes it so it's not that white, so that way it doesn't bug your viewers and they see just those 3. You can choose that to be whatever you want. I know a lot of people turn that transparency all the way down, make it so you can't see it at all. Now, what about the negative evidence here? Well, let's say you actually did not get ghost writing. Well, now we can exit out, show that it's impossible evidence, it's negative, and it cuts that out of the possibilities. In this case, now we know it could be a Goryo, Jinn, or Obake. And let's say, well, actually, it wasn't actually EMF 5. We just sort of hurt it. And no, we can cross that one out too. And now we see, oh, with these possibilities and with fingerprints confirmed, we have a Banshee, Hantu, the Mimic, or a Phantom. And maybe we end up getting Ghost Orbs, and it can be Banshee, Hantu. And last but not least, let's go with Temps. Ooh, it's a Hantu. Definitely want to make sure that that breaker's on. Now, with all these different pieces of evidence, you can change the size of the evidence to be whatever you want it to be. You can make them be really big at 100 pixel size. You can make them be smaller, 25. Again, it is based on what you want for your stream. There are 3 different margin options for the evidence section. We've got the top margin and the bottom margin, but we also have horizontal margin. That horizontal margin just affects how much space is in between the different evidence icons. We can increase this to be 15. We can maybe do like 25. And as you can see, there's more space in between. The reason for this is based on how you change the shape and size of the widget. Sometimes you need a little bit more horizontal space to get things to line up properly. So adjust this if the widget ever looks a little bit funky, but not quite, and you just want to get the evidence lined up to look a little bit better. Now, one of the things that we received a lot of requests for is a death counter. And once we added in the death counter, then we were asked for a revenant counter. And then we were asked for a viewers killed the streamer counter. And all right, we're going to give you 2 counters. So we have our first counter here and our second counter. You can choose to display one of them. You can choose to display none of them. That's entirely up to you. If by chance you do have the second one on, but the first one off, well, it says counters. So if you have the first one off, it ain't going to show any of them. Get rid of the second one if you just need one. We also added in something kind of new and cool for this update. Instead of it being just horizontal, we have set it up so that the counters can be laid on top of each other or horizontally. And we've also added in a little bit more spacing options. So you can choose to have them be right aligned. You can have them be left aligned, space around, or even evenly, which is sort of the same thing, or space between. It is up to you. So we do have the default names for the counters here, but you can change those at any time, and it's very easy to do. If we do set counter and change it to death counter, as you can see, boom, death counter. We can also set the counter number to be whatever it is that we want it to be. Boom, 69 deaths. Nice. Everything is the same with the second counter. Again, check out the README. It has all of the possible options there. Very simple, nicely laid out. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, if I reset my widget, is it going to reset my counters? No, it won't. Exclamation mark GR to reset the widget, and bam, death counter 69 revs 3 stays the same. Next, optional objectives. Now with these optional objectives, we wanted this to be nice and simple and easy because they're long, they're wordy. We wanted them to be simple representations and to make it be very easy for you to add and remove them based on whatever it is that you're doing. So let's say you have an optional objective, exclamation mark OO, and you have salt, SA. Boom, it adds salt onto the screen. Let's say you also have photo. And let's say you also have smudge. There we go. Salt, photo, and smudge. Those are our 3 optional objectives. You need to cross out the first one, exclamation mark 01. Cross out the third one because you got that smudge stick and smudge the ghost. 03. And let's say you got the photo 02. Nice. Now, with that, we also understood that maybe you might make a mistake. So if you need to remove one, no matter where it is, just exclamation mark OO and then put in the same command and boom, we've removed the photo. Same thing for smudge, same thing for salt. Oh, gotta make sure to enter the command correctly. Now, what if you just want to add all 3 with one command? Oh, that's nice, easy, and simple as well. If you put in all 3, exclamation mark OO, SA space SM space PH, it'll go salt, smudge, photo. It puts them in the order that you place them. Additionally, you can change not only the color of the text, but you can also change the color of that strike through as well as the size of it and the spacing of the optional objectives. Again, you've got options for giving a little bit more space on top and bottom. It's all up to you. Conclusion. this is the thing that we're all trying to get to, right? We want to know what ghosts are there. We want to know if it's going to be a myling, an obake, a demon, a revenant, and this is the place for it. Now, you can choose not to display the conclusion. That, again, that's up to you. We have it where you can choose the color of the conclusion as well as the font size and the margins. But the cool thing is this right here, the conclusion messages. Here we have default messages for every possibility. You have 0 evidence, waiting for evidence, but you can change that. 1 piece of evidence, I put not sure yet, but could be whatever you want. Too much evidence, it's over 9,000. But we have default messages for every single ghost type. So let's say it's the Hantu. Let's say you guys call him Mr. Iceman, and you happen to get ghost orbs, freezing temps, and you get those fingerprints. Now, instead of it saying Hantu, it says Iceman. So you can choose to change any of the ghost names based on what it is that your community calls them, and inside jokes for your community to show up on screen every time you do get that ghost. Now let's get to some of the cool stuff. The border. You know, everyone wants to have a colorful widget and wants that border to look nice and neat and kind of look very similar to the rest of their overlay. So we give a lot of options for that. First, we do give options for margins on all sides for the border. So if you want to have a little bit more space on top of the widget, maybe to put a logo or to put a picture of some kind, throw it on in there, increase the size of that 100 pixels, boom, you have tons of extra space. Same if you want to put some stuff on the right side. I know a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll add in extra space to the right, they'll remove the evidence from one widget, and then they'll make a second widget and put it on top right here to make it so that the evidence can be on the right side of the widget. It's a lot of customizability here. If you want to move stuff around, just get rid of stuff until it looks the way that you want and just make some room and put it on in. We also have it where you can change the color of the border. I like white just because it pops out on a black background, but you can make it be any color that you want. Maybe you want it to be a nice sky blue, go for it. Maybe you want that border to be nice and thick, do it. Maybe you want no corners, you don't want it to be rounded, but you want it to be nice and sharp. Just get rid of that corner rounding and it'll be a sharp border. Now, one of the cool things too that a lot of people don't know is you can change the border type. It doesn't have to be a solid border. You can make it be dashed, you can make it be double, you can make it be dotted, or you can just get rid of it altogether. And of course, we have to have a gradient border. So with that gradient border, if you turn that bad boy on, you'll see it shows up around the sides. Let's make it be a little bit thicker though. We'll give it a size of 15. One important note, I get this question a lot, is, hey, I added a border radius, but the inside is not rounded. That's just the limitation of the browser source. We're not able to do that with the styling. I apologize, I'm sorry. But if you want to change the colors, very simple and easy to do. We can go in here, we can choose to have a nice dark red. Maybe we'll do like a blue in here, and we can go back to like, maybe have a green on this side. Actually, let's get this to be a nice blue. It's not a very bright blue. There we go. And as you can see, goes on through. The gradient kind of shifts up and down, moves around a little bit. So change the angle if you want to get a little bit more flexibility with it moving around. If we would do a border angle of 90, you can see that it kind of shifts more left to right. If we want to flip that around 180, a lot of people will choose a number that's a little bit in between, like 115, and it kind of goes like corner to corner then. Again, however you would like to do it. And last but not least, get rid of this here. Last but not least, the dividers. These little dividers in between each of the sections, you can choose to get rid of them if you would like, or if you want, you can change them to be more of like a dashed, dotted, or a double divider. And you can choose the size. You can make them be a little bit bigger and change their color. Maybe you want it red in between each of the sections. Maybe you want to have blue. It's up to you. Thank you for watching. Before I go, I do want to give 2 shout outs, one to The Squall and another to Billy J. Bryan. They are 2 other Twitch streamers who have put a lot of work into this widget and have helped out tremendously with getting this updated. And anytime an update goes out for Phasmophobia, we don't get notice ahead of time. We get the same information as everyone else. So it's usually a pretty big scramble to get things out quickly and to be able to update the widget so that it stays up to date with the game. So if you have any questions, please make sure to join the Slew Discord. The link will be down below. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. I love this strat so much.